Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode here on the THWF Network. We call this Sound Off, and you'll find out why momentarily. I am your host. My name is Cedric, and I am from True Hardcore Wrestling Fans. You can find us on Facebook just by searching True Hardcore Wrestling Fans. We're also on Twitter and on Instagram at THWF_FB. On our panel today, we have representing the East Coast. We got Pete from the East Coast. What's going on, Pete?
How you doing? East Coast, Beast Coast, all day, every day.
Okay, and we have the esteemed commissioner of THWF Midwest. We got Mr. Trey D. What's going on, boss? He's gonna be in and out. He's step away, and we. Okay, there he is. And we have the illustrious Chief Creative Officer of THWF, Mr. Jamil Jackson. Good evening, sir.
What up?
What up? Okay, guys. So this is, we want to have this lively debate here live. We've had a big discussion in the group recently. Is after the Money in the Bank pay-per-view as to who came out as champion and whatnot. Some folks felt a certain way about it, saying this, that, and that. So my question to you is, for this discussion is, in putting the belt on someone in a wrestling company, what is the top characteristic that you want them to have? And I'm gonna start with Terry on this one. Okay, he may be in and out. All right, Jamil, let's go to you.
The main characteristic.
Yeah.
The ability to carry a story, and I don't just mean the non-action part, but I mean even in the ring too. Just the ability to carry a story.
Okay, all right. Now, I can definitely understand that. But being the quote unquote figurehead of the company, that's definitely something that they should be able to. Pete, what about you? You have a different perspective on this.
Well, I agree. I agree with what Terry said. I mean, you want to be able to carry that story in a company, but I think beyond the story, I'm looking at wrestling ability in terms of like, can I put you in the ring with the best person I have or the best person I can bring in, especially when I'm talking on the independent scene.
Right.
So, like, obviously, I know, like, when we talk WWE, when we talk Ring of Honor, when we talk, like, the big contract companies, we're talking about who has the most draw, who has the most marketability as a heel or a baby face that's going to either get fans in to want to see you get your ass beat or get fans in to see you, want to be the hero all the time, which is why, as much as we may hate it, John Cena has been champion as many times as he had, because as much as we may not like John Cena as a character, certain people, he is the number one, or was for a long time, the number one merchandise seller, the number one hero. So he was kind of placed in that number one spot. But when I look at the independent scene, I'm looking at, when I bring in a plethora of talent, can you have, in my opinion, a top tier, 5-star, if you will, match with whatever opponent I put you in the ring with? When I say, hey, you guys got 20 minutes, go kill it, I want people saying, regardless of whether you win or you lose on that night, man, their champion deserved to be champion, or that person deserves to be holding the top championship.
Okay, good point. Actually, it was Jamil that was before you.
I apologize for that.
No worries. Terry, let me get your take on that.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you, boss.
All right. When I'm looking at a champion, I'm looking for the shades of gray. You know what I'm saying? Merchandise sales and all that, that's cool and everything. But can you go heel? Can you go babyface? Can I get both of them? Can you elicit emotion from anybody that's in the crowd? And, at the age I'm at now with my son and everything, he's looking for those same characteristics. Can you bring out a little extra? You go watch the shows and you like it. But when you in that match with different people, are you making me feel something, or I'm just there like, oh, I like wrestling and this is going on, and to the point that he made the top merchandise seller. John Cena is still the top merchandise seller. Roman Reigns and AJ Styles right now are tied at number 2. Just want to throw that out there.
Okay. Okay. All right. Now, with the biggest discussion in the group was the Bliss. There's a lot of folks feel that. Yep. We're gonna tackle this. We're gonna tackle this.
Yo, hold on. Before you even do that.
Okay,
bro, I need you to stop downloading porn because your connection messing up.
Oh man, I'm not downloading porn. Not this time. That was last time.
Stop downloading those late '90s, early 2000s bra and panties matches. We've evolved in women's wrestling. We've evolved.
With that,
yeah, you gotta stop streaming when Jacqueline was on the ref's shoulders and the tits popped out.
Right now, Cedric is speaking as good English as Shinsuke wants us to believe he speaks.
Exactly. It's great, but
nah. Cedric's mic sounds like one of those Y2J sound effects when the countdown was happening.
Oh man, good old days.
Dang, is it really that bad?
It was. I mean, for a moment there, young Mike was about as over as Aldo Montoya.
Oh man,
I'm upset. He said Aldo.
Okay, well, damn. He said that.
I was thinking Max Moon.
Hey, listen. Okay, Max Moon coming out retirement for MLW. Conan coming back.
Okay. All right. So I think I might be good now. Am I coming across good now?
You were talking about Alexa Bliss. Yes, you were.
Yes. Okay. So So Alexa Bliss was a big discussion within the group. The first half of the week, her winning money in the bank and cashing in.
Oh my
folks. Yes, we have to address it, and I'm sure Jamil has his about it, but is the look of a person a defining characteristic on them?
What was that last part?
Is the way versus their actual wrestling ability a defining characteristic in putting in the face of your company as champion?
Well, let me start here, and I think this is something that has to be factored into the Alexa Bliss debate. Understand that putting the championship on Alexa Bliss at Money in the Bank was the WWE's only way out of this terrible match that they had created. I was actually watching it with a couple of friends, and when Alexa Bliss cashed in and won, everybody was like saying, "Oh my God, why?" Or this is. I'm like, no, you guys gotta understand. Legitimately, that was the only thing the WWE could have done to save themselves. Because here's what happens: if Nia Jax wins that match and retains the championship over Ronda Rousey, you have now effectively killed Ronda Rousey's hype. Okay? You've effectively killed it in 2 matches. If Ronda Rousey, okay, a person who has had previously only 1 professional wrestling match at WrestleMania, okay, and who is not coming from a wrestling background, as it was highlighted by Nia Jax throughout this entire feud, and you put Ronda Rousey over in that match and she wins the championship, you effectively destroy your entire women's division because you've placed Nia Jax in this position as the most physically, in terms of size and strength and even speed for her size, the most dominant force in your division, and then this woman comes in who has only one professional wrestling match under her belt, comes in and defeats the quote-unquote most dominant woman, you would have killed your entire division. So by putting the title on Alexa Bliss, that was legitimately the only out that they had. Now, to your point of a woman's look, I mean, we're talking about a company who has previously had Kelly Kelly, whose failings in the ring were well documented as a champion at one point. I think they've gotten away, in a sense, of the look being the defining factor. I don't think it's anymore where you have to look a certain way. I mean, look at the Woman of Honor champion. Sumi Sakai is one of the best wrestlers in the world, and no one's going to confuse Sumi Sakai with a centerfold model anytime soon. But there used to be a time when it was your look. But I think now it's pure wrestling ability and who, in a sense, can be the biggest draw. I think this goes back to the original conversation of where is Alexa Bliss in terms of how the fans view her and the fans view her merchandise, and what kind of product is she moving? Because I think in the mind of the WWE, it's still, are you moving product? Which this is why Zack Ryder got his push when he did, because he was moving product, and that's how it looks with the WWE.
Yeah. So basically a business decision versus an actual in ring ability, or versus what
did Randy Duran say in The Wrestler? I was watching this yesterday at the gym. Randy Duran in The Wrestler said a very specific line. Is that scene right before he fights the young gentleman in that one match, and he tells him, "You've got good ability, but remember that they don't care about ability. The guys in the suits and the cars and the ones who sign the paychecks, they don't care about wrestling ability, but keep up the good work and keep your nose clean," right? It's all about the politics. And at the end, in the WWE, at the end of the day, that's the politics of the WWE. Are you moving merchandise? How are you getting over with the fans? How does that work? And sometimes that could be at the expense of the best wrestler getting the championship.
Exactly. Terry, any thoughts on that?
On Alexa Bliss?
Well, I think Pete very eloquently like say to in reference to the look of a wrestler versus the actual ability and making that person a champion.
All right.
Yeah.
That's what it should. It should be about looks. It should be about who gets the crowd into it, who goes out there and actually has good matches. Now, when we talk about Alexa Bliss, I'm gonna be serious with you. I was at Money in the Bank.
Okay.
She got the briefcase.
Yeah.
I put a video up in the group. I was over it. Now, when she came out and cashed in, I was over it again. Now, it's nothing against her personally, but she's a 5-time champion. But when you look at it like this, when you got your champion, a lot of people are going to go off looks. Cool. A lot of people are going to go off of, she gets people talking and everything. Look how she's healing it up. Now, the women's champion, the only thing about this is Alexa Bliss and Carmella are the same character. Their in-ring ability is like, Carmella needs a lot of work. Alexa Bliss, she needs some work. But when you looking at your champion, what the people want, you can't say the people blew up in Chicago because, hell, like he said, you can't have Nia do that and you can't have Ronda win. But the only issue is you could have had a different woman doing it. Don't bring the same woman out to do it again. Legit, okay, what a legit boss. Sasha could have did it. That briefcase would have helped her. That would have looked good. I would have even took Ember Moon doing it. But to just go out there and be like, her merchandise sales, they cool, but they not over Sasha's. They're not over Becky Lynch's. They're not over Charlotte's.
I want to say though, Terry, I think Sasha and I don't know, I don't have any source, or I don't have any, this is not a fact. This is just simply me contemplating. I honestly think Sasha may have, not necessarily heat, but I think there may be some negative perceptions of Sasha in terms of her injury history, and her ability to stay in the ring and be healthy, which is why I think maybe it wasn't Sasha. Ember would have destroyed her character a little bit because she is kind of still the over baby face. I would have loved to have seen someone like, maybe, even though she wasn't in the match, if they were going to do something like that, you could take a Bayley and turn her in one night by doing something like this, especially with the story that Bayley and Nia had down in NXT. But I also want to comment on wrestling ability. Understand that wrestling ability, what we see in the WWE, is not necessarily the full wrestling resume of someone, because we all know, we've all been in this game long enough, we all know that the WWE only will let its wrestlers put in the ring what it wants you to see. And some of these wrestlers, you see them when they come on the indies and do other things, they are a lot better and a lot more polished and a lot more clean than what the WWE actually lets you see, because they always want them to perform a certain way.
And that way is definitely safer, so that they can have that person going for 300 plus days a year as they need it, versus the reckless style that let me change that, not reckless, but the taking more risk that is done on the indie scene. So WWE is definitely protecting their product by scaling down, or as the IWC would say, dumbing down the skill set to the WWE presentation.
Yeah. I mean, who else on Raw is going to take it? I mean, they've effectively kind of screwed Nia into a hole. Dana Brooke has not been built, has not been given any real attention on that brand. Alicia Fox is missing in action. Mickie James is essentially, getting paid to be Alexa Bliss's valet. Ember Moon is still a burgeoning baby face. They made the mention of it at Money in the Bank, that she was literally had debuted only a month prior to Money in the Bank. And then Sasha and Bayley are kind of stuck in this, are they going to fight each other? Are they not? Is Sasha going to fully turn heel? Is she not? Back and forth between them. So, I mean, on the Raw brand, you don't really have anyone besides Alexa Bliss to kind of carry that championship, unless you start putting some actual stock in your other female performers, or you actually stick to a storyline with Nia Jax. I mean, was it Nia Jax the one getting bullied, and then all of a sudden she wins the championship at WrestleMania and she becomes the bully simply because Ronda Rousey needs to be the babyface?
Yeah, I thought that was weird as well.
SmackDown has more. I mean, as bad as Carmella may be in the ring, don't get me wrong, she is very terrible in the ring. Alexa's leaps and bounds ahead of her. At least on SmackDown, you can name 3 or 4 or 5 women who could legitimately carry that shit. I could see Billie Kay carrying that championship. I could see Asuka. I could see Carmella. I can see Naomi, Charlotte, Becky Lynch. Any one of those women could very easily carry the championship on SmackDown. SmackDown saves lives, people. SmackDown saves lives.
Nice. Okay, now with all the, Jamil, have you been following? I saw you were muted. Have you been following?
Yeah, I'm paying attention.
Okay. You want to chime in on any of this, or?
Well, I think that the way they could have gotten out of the whole Nia Jax Ronda Rousey thing was to simply, I mean, I can understand why they put why they had Alexa Bliss win the Money in the Bank briefcase. As much as I despised it, I can kind of understand. And I feel like, well, if you're gonna have this thing where right now where we're at with it is, even though Ronda Rousey attacked Alexa Bliss, Nia Jax gets a rematch. Now they're saying that she's out rehabilitating and all this and all of that, and Ronda's suspended for 30 days. So there's going to be just a couple of weeks of Alexa Bliss just running her mouth and them trying to find an opponent for her. Maybe she doesn't wrestle again, like she didn't wrestle for like 5 or 6 months last time she was champ. But uh, I think that the way
Yeah.
they could have done that a little bit better was to just have her come out and be a distraction in a sense to Nia Jax, because they have a history to try to distract her, but in essence actually distract Ronda Rousey by her being a rookie, not understanding the circumstances, and causing her to lose like that. And I don't think that that would hurt Ronda with that being her second match if she would have got rolled up real fast by Nia Jax and just and Nia Jax just books it out of there. And then people will wonder, are Nia Jax and Alexa Bliss in cahoots, or was she out there to try to cash in on her? What's going on? You kind of have more story to go with there, even though I do like Ronda Rousey just kind of unleashing, but I think it's more of a story if you tease a cash in and you don't know who she's really out there to mess with. Is she out there to try to get some shine off of Ronda Rousey, or cash in on Nia Jax, or distract her because they still have a history and a feud going? Just to assert her presence, like, hey, I'm the Money in the Bank carrier and I can cash in whenever I want to, like people always do. I think there was other ways out of it. I think they just,
Yeah.
they realized they painted themselves in the corner making that match, and they just went with the easiest thing they could think of, and that's just have somebody cash in and let everybody escape out of that. And I really think they
Okay.
could have been a
All
little
right.
bit more creative.
Yeah. Pete, you look like you're chopping at the bit.
No, I agree with a lot of what he said, and I didn't think about it at the time, but he makes some very good points. I mean, even having Alexa come out there
Yeah.
just to kind of force Ronda, but still play that Nia. Listen, I think this is going to end up in a triple threat one way or another. This is going to end up with Nia and
Okay.
Ronda and Alexa all in one match. That may be the only way the WWE feels like they can paint themselves into Ronda winning the championship and it not looking like it's destroying the division because, we all know the whole thing about a triple threat match. Anybody could pin anybody. So you have Nia looking dominant and maybe you have Ronda steal a pin, or you maybe have, Ronda kill Alexa. Nia kill Alexa and then Ronda stealing on Alexa. So, but I think what was said was very true. There's a lot of story that still has not been told between Nia Jax and Alexa Bliss. You could have had Alexa cost Ronda that match and simply say, you know what? I want my championship back, but I want to take it off of Nia Jax. You took my championship. I'm going to take it right back from you. And then essentially Ronda gets involved and you kind of have this circumventation where it's like Ronda and Alexa for a little bit and then Alexa goes in because, listen, Ronda cannot be the next Brock, okay? If you're going to come in and build Ronda like a
Right.
female Brock, where she's going to come in and she's just going to run roughshod over people, it's going to get old quick and you're not going to develop her. If Ronda's going to be here for 3 years and probably longer, develop her. I think they need to put her on TV more. They need to have her wrestle more. For her to be taken seriously in this division as a part of this product. And please, somebody tell her to stop with the 15 gigawatt smile every time she comes out the entrance.
Hey, and if she's gonna smile, at least have it be a deliberate thing where you turn a switch, flip the switch that fast, and you look crazy. Like you go from happy to it's a homicide about to happen right now. I think that'll be a thing that they can pinpoint versus her just, oh shucks, I'm happy to be here, and then kind of turn it on and it doesn't seem the same.
She needs to be built more like a Shamrock. She needs to be built more like a Shamrock or a Steve Blackman type character, where she's a dangerous person in the ring. She's not somebody you want to mess with. If you want to build her as the baddest woman on the planet, then you need to A, have her wrestle more, but B, also show that she has weaknesses. If you keep bringing up on Kyle, listen, as a commentator myself, if I'm going to continuously bring up on commentary that someone does not have a wrestling background, well, then guess what? In that match, there must be things that get exploited by the experienced wrestlers for me to point to and say, hey, look, that's what we mean. She doesn't have a professional wrestling background. She would have known about this, or she would have known about that, or this and that, whatever. Like what they did on Raw when Nia Jax kind of played it off on Twitter, like, oh, I had her shoulders pinned when she had me in the armbar. Yo, smart. That's something that an MMA fighter who's only had one professional wrestling match would not recognize. Oh, crap. If I have you in a guillotine armbar like that and my shoulders are down, I'm still going to lose this match. So you have to have something to play off of. You can't just keep saying she's not a wrestler, she's an MMA fighter, and then nothing in the match shows that she's never been in a wrestling ring.
Good point. Okay. Terry, any of this?
No, I'm over it.
Okay.
I'm over it. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You know,
no worries. I hear you.
They already put themselves in a corner. You know what I'm saying? The WrestleMania match. You know, she shocked me. I was like, woo, Money in the Bank. I was good with it. But at this point, you know, you done put her in a title match. What can you do? Put her in another title match and then more title matches? Because I feel where they heading with this, like they already doing right now. We only gonna see her like once a month, maybe twice on TV. But other than that, maybe even once every other month in a wrestling ring. Because I don't think they're gonna let her, even though she's there for the long haul and she's all about it. I really don't think that she's gonna be like she doesn't have the schedule like a regular wrestler right now, so hell, I look at it as kind of part-time.
Traction, but might be trying to blur that line a little bit. Yeah, she's not full time, so it is what it is. Okay, at this point, we'll go around the horn. I like to call this section. Call this segment. I got a gripe. And Terry, what's your gripe right now within the wrestling world?
Oh my God, my gripe right now. I need wrestlers out here to sell more. These people are not selling. You know, I love the indie promotions, but when you get like. Okay, WWE, you get a big match, you'll see like 7 finishers in a row. If I go and I'm watching, anytime I love Ring of Honor, and I hate that I'm about to say this, but anytime that I watch like a Ring of Honor show, it's like too much. No one's selling, you know, you get hit. I'm not sold that your move is doing anything, killing the business. No, you're not really killing the business. But when I'm at those shows, I'm like, oh man, these guys are so athletic. But I'm like, I'm not really taking home and feeling nothing out those matches. I need more selling from everybody around the board. WWE, these, they don't sell and they need to sell. So I'm going to say I don't even want to get started on their lack of selling in their matches because it's just it's horrible. This is a family show. Take it away from me.
Okay. All right. Now, with that said, I can agree with that. I don't want to date myself. But yes, we did this.
Listen,
but we did see more.
But you are a great date, Cedric. Don't tell yourself any different. You are a great date.
Pete, I appreciate, bro. I appreciate that. I appreciate you for that one.
Face yourself, boo.
Hey, man.
Hey, family show. I say what was on my mind just then. Okay.
Thirst draft.
I'm not gonna.
Cedric going first round.
It's crazy. It's crazy. What I was gonna say is, back in the day, we did have selling, and kicking out of a finisher was taboo. To the day and age that we're in, and everything is I want it now. I want it now. Oh, you lost my attention. Is the attention span of the wrestling fan gotten so bad that the only way we can keep their attention is by doing finishers like this? I'm gonna go to Pete on this one.
New fans.
It's tough because I think there's a thin line, and thankfully no one's setting fire to cars on this thin line, but there's a
Right.
thin line between that kind of quote unquote indie style and that quote unquote old school style. I think there was a time where you could have an Iron Man. And I think there still are fans that are going to enjoy like an Iron Man match. And I think that comes from like appreciation of the craft, like understanding that there is this build. But then again, don't get me wrong. There are certain matches that are complete spot fests that I love. I'm not going to sit here and say I'm not a fan of like a lot of the PWG material.
Right.
But even when I like work in my own company, when I'm booking guys, I want guys and girls that understand psychology. I want guys and girls that understand how to work a match. And for example, and Cedric and the rest of y'all gonna know about this. Back in the day, when you worked the leg all match, you won the match with a submission to the leg.
Yes.
Hey, man. Hey. They work the leg nowadays. Your leg's been worked over. Then when you done with your leg being worked over, what do? You try to climb to the top rope and come. Like, why he was just attacking your leg, but once you get back up and you get going, you going to the top rope. Like, so your leg.
Not only that, the best part is it's like when, let's say you got Bret Hart. I use Bret Hart for an example. Now, Bret Hart's a submission wrestler. He's a technical wrestler, whatever, and his moveset will focus a lot on your back and your legs. But if your arm got hurt in the match, all of a sudden his moveset changes.
Yes.
The entire moveset will change. And he might end up beating you with the sharpshooter, which has nothing to do with legs, but it'll be a desperation move type of thing where he's got you in all kinds of arm locks and everything. He's trying to rip your arm out your socket and you're not giving up because he doesn't have that one move there to finish you. And if he did finish you with an arm, with some kind of arm submission, he might use that submission to finish for the rest of the year. It'll be a thing. It won't just be like, oh, well, he's not going to beat you with an arm bar and then go back to the sharpshooter the next week or something like that. He's going to try to get that move over like that. That was dangerous, and that's why that person lost.
I'm going to pull the curtain back a bit. So for those of y'all, obviously, who know, like, I work and help run a company, an indie company here in New York. And, I do the commentary at the company. And we, early on in the history of the company, we had a storyline where I kind of was like the main conduit to management. And we had one of our heels was kind of having a gripe with me. And at one of the shows, literally, I think it was right before intermission, he comes out of the backstage area and he catches me on commentary with a Yakuza, which happens to be one of his finishers. And now, I did not know. He had told me earlier in the night, yo, we're going to do something, but we didn't know what was going to happen. So I had prepared for something, but I didn't know what. And then we go to intermission. I go backstage, and I'm like, bro, you should have told me that's what you were going to do, because I would have told you to do that later in the show. And he's like, why? I said, because you realize I now have to go out and call the second half of the show. I couldn't leave my commentary partner to do solo work for the last half of the show. If you had done it maybe like with one match remaining, I could have stood in the back and I could have sold that. Or if I would have known this was going to happen, I would have gotten a third commentary person for this show so that I could have missed the second half of the show while we did this storyline. And we were like, oh, crap. Yeah, because that's what happens. Like, I'm a commentator. I'm a nobody. I should not be walking back out to continue to do my job after I get hit with a wrestler's finishing maneuver. And so I agree, like,
exactly.
the devaluation of the finisher in professional wrestling. Now, I don't know if this comes, I don't want to necessarily blame this on the indie scene, because, again, there are places for spot fest. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say that I don't enjoy PWG, or I don't enjoy, like, for example, the Ricochet Ospreay spot fest that we saw for years in Japan, or the Young Bucks matches when they do a bunch of spots. But there's also a way, okay, and this may blow some people's minds, there is a way to have a spot fest match that still employs psychology.
It is. It is. But yes, but I think a lot of folks, especially a lot of the up and comers, see that and they're like, ooh, that's what I got to do to get over. I got to do as many flips and many this and that and many super kicks as possible so I can get over just like them.
Well, that's what gets indie wrestlers booked. I'll be honest with you. It
does. I'm sure it does.
What gets views? What gets fans talking? What gets gifs made of you? What gets fans buzzing on Twitter? What gets YouTube reviews? What gets people like us to talk about wrestlers in forums like this? It's those guys that are putting on the matches that make you go, ooh, and ah. And what are promoters? And I'm going to say it as someone who goes out there and recruits talent. What is the first thing I see when I'm going on Twitter and looking for who's the new hot guy in Chicago, or who's the new hot guy in the Southwest, or in the Southeast? Well, who's trending on Twitter? Who's got the gifts going out there? Who's got all these things? And promoters are going to see that, and promoters are going to book you, because guess what? Fans are going to come and want to see that, and then you're going to get booked somewhere else and booked somewhere else. It's a lot easier and a lot more valuable as a wrestler, especially somebody who's trying to get booked, to go spot, because that's going to get you a handful of bookings that you otherwise would be harder pressed to get by working a traditional psychological style, because there are not many places that still value that as much.
Yeah, definitely. But with that said, with that trend continue wrestling after all that's done, and that becomes
there you go with that porn again.
Hey, is this microphone off or is it my video? Because it sounds horrible.
Ladies and gentlemen, we'd like to introduce the new host of the True Hardcore Wrestling Fan YouTube channel, Mike Adamley, ladies and gentlemen.
Let me turn off the camera. We'll try this. We'll try this. Goodness. Dang it, do I take off the headset then? I mean, goodness gracious. Everything worked well in rehearsal. Damn live show. Okay. All right. So like I was saying,
hold on, Sid. I got a question. Is anybody watching this or listening to this?
Yes. Yes. Austin, is that you?
Yo, what's good, man?
Oh, representing the Beast Coast.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm in the building, man. Pay-per-view's here. Yo. I had to let the wife take over driving so I could just see what was going on.
Okay. We all right. You're coming in blind. So let me ask you this question. Let me get your feedback on it. As a wrestling fan, do you prefer the basic old school feel of a wrestling match with working a leg, wrestler selling said leg, working towards that finish with that leg being injured and being part of the finish? Or are you a fan of
I think because of the area I'm in, I hear you breaking up a little bit. Go ahead again.
Is it okay? Okay. I think what Mike Adamley is trying to get at over there is, do you prefer psychology, the old school psychological matches, or do you prefer the newer trend of the spot fest match?
I'll be honest with you. I mean, it really depends on the caliber of the two wrestlers, because if they have a chemistry together, anything can happen. You know, chemistry is what really makes the match. So if there's a lot of spot calling, I get it, because sometimes maybe a guy will forget what his spot is, and one person will have to carry the other guy. But if there's a chemistry, you know, it doesn't really matter. I feel like both wrestlers can really pull it off, whether if it's spots or if it's just, you know, mentally you prepare yourself for that match and you know what you got to do. I just really think it's all based on chemistry more than anything. Like when you look at people like, let's say, for example, what match? Brock Lesnar versus AJ Styles, right? I mean, a lot of people thought that was a good match. To me, I just felt like the match was off because they ain't have no chemistry. You know, it was barely any spot calling, and you already know how Brock is with his matches. It's really about what he wants to do, and then everybody else plays catch up. And I feel like chemistry will make the match go long, whether if it's spot calling or you want to base it on psychological. But here and there, you know, it really depends on the two wrestlers. You know how Brock is with his matches. Yes. Really about what he wants to do, and then everybody else plays catch up. Yeah.
Somebody waiting.
Well, that was some delayed audio. Yeah, we had that delay. That was a delay on that one.
Oh, okay. Yeah, big delay. I heard me come in afterwards.
I mean, so I want to. So I was, Terry had brought this up, the idea of like the devaluation of finishes and stuff. You know what? And I'm a huge fan of New Japan. Don't get me wrong. I love New Japan.
Mm-hmm.
And I just say that when I sit down and I read, the results of a New Japan match, and I'll be very specific. When I read the results of an Omega match, okay, and it's like, yo, he hit 7 one-winged angels. I'm like, bruh. Or be like, okay, Omega hit a one-winged angel. Then he went for a knee. And then he went for a clothesline. Then he went for another one-winged angel. And then this. And then a one-winged angel. I'm like, yo, if you got to hit your finisher 4 times in a row to knock somebody out, get a new finisher.
Nah, this is the worst part of the whole thing with the finishers. Let's say you're watching, and this is bad at WrestleMania. WrestleMania matches, they're nothing but finisher matches. So you'll have, like, I'll just throw 2 people out there. Let's just say, I'll say Randy Orton versus John Cena, just first 2 names. So Randy Orton hit 4 RKOs. John Cena hit 4 or 5 attitude adjustments. You know, and whoever wins, you're looking at the match like, oh, they barely made it out by the skin of their teeth, and the crowd's all on the edge of their seat. They gave it all they had. And then the next night on Raw, John Cena fights whoever and beats him with 1 AA. And the first thing I'm thinking is, that person's weak. That's the very first thing I think. And it could be a top tier guy. If they're on TV, you know, they can have the rematch the next night, and it might just be 1 or 2 finishes. And I'm like, well, damn, you know, you're kind of soft.
Yeah. I mean, listen, if you're going to tease a finish, like if you're going to tease 4 AAs, and then you hit on the 5th one, and then you pin a guy, that makes sense. But don't drop me 5 AAs in a row, and then finally win the match. Like, no.
Right. I hate that. Or if you're going to hit an AA, for example, if you hit an AA on me and I kick out of it, the next time you better give me an AA from the second rope.
Yeah.
If I kick out of that, then do it again through a table. Like, you got to up the ante. You can't just keep hitting me with it.
You gotta up the ante, man. You know what's the prime example of that? Braun Strowman versus Roman Reigns. Braun could be dominating the match. Dominating. one spear, and it's over. And I've seen that twice. I've seen it twice.
No.
Just be like, wait, what?
And look, and here's the worst part about that, because that's to make Roman look strong. I know that's a thing, but
Gotta keep Roman
it's to make Roman look strong. But look, check this out. So Braun Strowman has the briefcase, and Braun Strowman in those matches will hit Roman Reigns like 3 times with a power slam. So if he can't beat Roman Reigns 3 times with a power slam, and Roman Reigns can't beat Brock Lesnar, if he cashes in on Brock Lesnar and hits him with just one and pins him, I'm over it.
See, my issue with that is I'm so pissed that it's Braun, and here's why. How many times we saw multi-man matches where essentially everybody would destroy Brock Lesnar. Like, Brock Lesnar gets wheeled out by EMTs, and this brother still comes back and wins the championship. Like, if I was Vince, I would have had a doctor ringside, but like, yo, you taking whatever Ivan Drago was taking, because there's no way you coming back after all of that.
Hey, because we was talking about selling, I brought it up. I do want to shout out, got a prop, Okada. You know, the old Dominion match. He took and he was laid out for like 2 to 3 minutes, and he sold that thing. He just did it. I said, "Oh, this is, like, that's the motion and that's the selling that we need in all matches. And if you can't get it in all matches, at least give it to me on the pay-per-view. Let me feel like you care about something."
I agree.
Definitely, Austin, welcome aboard, sir. I'm just gonna have you just chime in and just fit in when you get in. Jamil, what is your gripe?
Oh man, whew, let me breathe.
Brother about to break out the list from Nitro right now.
Okay, my biggest gripe with wrestling is the fans. It's the fans, man. And that's kind of what spawned the whole discussion that I created about Alexa Bliss that had everybody going nuts. Because I was with Terry at Money in the Bank, and Terry said it. He was like, well, wait, what was it that you said exactly? Because you were like, Alexa Bliss is a 5-time champion. I think that's what you said. Like, you just randomly said it. And I was thinking in my head, like, damn, has she even been on the main roster for 2 years yet? And then I started digging, and I got the exact numbers. And I'm like, 5 title reigns in 18 months, 460-something, 440-something days out of 560 on the roster.
Tell them.
As champion.
Come on.
You know, I'm going through all these things, and then I'm thinking in my head, like, when was the last time Roman Reigns was champion? And he gets crucified for being the guy, and I'm like, what about the girl? What about the girl? And then it got me thinking even more, and I'm just, you know, when I started that discussion, I hadn't really put my finger on what's been annoying me the past couple of months and kind of had me not really interacting. Like, I'll watch wrestling and I'll kind of just chime in, but I won't interact as much anymore. And I'm like, these people are really irking me, because then you get somebody coming in talking about who's getting buried and who. I'm thinking in my head, like, okay, how can somebody like I gotta think of the name. I can't think, but how can somebody, okay, like Finn Balor? How can Finn Balor be buried? And he's on Monday Night Raw every week, if not in the main event match, he's in a match that they keep talking about all night. Every week, win some, lose some, almost every pay-per-view, they highlight him. He gets backstage interviews, but he's just not world champion. And so how's that buried? And it's like, okay, it's these fans. They learn some terms. They learn some backstage terminology, and they went crazy. And it's like, okay, if you really want to be a student of the game, learn what the stuff really means. Like, buried is like going from the top to the bottom. It's everybody can't be at the top. It's like, what do you want people to do? Trade off wins
Yeah, I
all
agree
day?
with you.
Everybody can't win every
that 50
match.
booking.
They already doing that.
Yeah, right. But they want it even more. Because as soon as somebody loses a match, they're buried. And I'm like, how is anybody buried? It's hardly anybody on that WWE roster that's buried. It's a couple of people that's missing. Mike Kanellis, but is he buried? I don't know, but you can't say like Seth Rollins just got buried. He lost the title. Drives me crazy. I'm sitting there like, okay, so
No. If he loses next week, then he's buried.
oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, if he loses next week, he's buried. Even though he'll end up in the multi-man match at Extreme Rules.
Right.
He's gonna end up in that match. We all know it. But then if he loses that match, oh, management must be down on him. Oh my god. I don't want to have these discussions. If you're gonna if you want to be smart on everything or whatever, if you actually be a student of it, like find out as much information as you can. It's out there. I mean, the curtain has been pulled back. It got pulled back 2 decades ago. Go do some research, dig up some information. I mean, and then suspend your belief. Then you got to still suspend your belief. Otherwise, you're going to drive yourself crazy because a lot of illogical stuff happens.
You said
that guy.
You said the key word. The information is there.
Exactly.
It's not like we can't find it.
Right, and so they drive me crazy because they just get that little bit and they run with it, and then God forbid, because I mean, I like all wrestling. I'll consume whatever I can whenever it's convenient for me.
Bless your heart.
WWE is more accessible, but I'll watch whatever I can watch. But admittedly, I watch more WWE. But it's not because I think it's superior or anything. It's more accessible. But God forbid somebody watches some New Japan Pro Wrestling and they disagree with you or you disagree with them. They don't know how to handle. It's like, yeah, you just like WWE. Dude, you didn't discover a new country. You didn't discover America, and you didn't discover New Japan Pro Wrestling. You didn't discover ROH. You didn't discover PWG. You didn't discover anything. CCW. You didn't discover nothing. It's all been there, and we all know about it. And some people pick and choose what they want to watch. You can't even discuss wrestling no more because if they get an inkling that you like something and they don't agree with you, then they're gonna try to box you in and then just dump all of this other stuff on you that they think they got over you. I've watched it all. So yeah, that's what irks me.
Okay. If anybody want to piggyback on that?
You talking about the angry fans, man? I don't know what's been going on. There's some angry people out there right now that I'm trying to put my finger on it, but it's just like you get attacked for like stuff that's crazy. You know what I'm saying? If I agree with something, like the other day, I think someone questioned my values because I disagreed with something they said. I was like, well, damn. We talking about values and we just having a topic of conversation. I love all fans. I take in as much wrestling as I can. I travel to as many wrestling shows as I can. You know what I'm saying? It's my favorite pastime besides football. So I try to talk to some fans at event, and some fans just be like, "Oh, you don't know about these guys? Oh, you're just a WWE mark. You're not a real fan." Like, dang, I'm here. I'm finding out. You know, just because I don't know about them doesn't mean I won't know about them in the future. Let me bring me in. Tell me about the people. Like, when you go to events and you see somebody you like post it up in the group. Let us know. Then we can start getting familiar with it. But we know about these companies. We just don't have the easy access. Like here in Indianapolis, we don't get Access TV, whatever that is. We don't get Pop TV is not available in my area. You know, I go online on the internet to try to do it, but it's not very convenient unless I'm riding the car and I just be like, okay, let me do it this way. But hey, man, everybody got to just love all wrestling fans, and I hope that can just start going around. Just because people aren't so right there with you, walking hand in hand with you like in wrestling, and they like something else, doesn't mean that they're inferior or you're above them as a wrestling fan.
I think And I think speaking about this not only from the fan standpoint, but also from kind of like, a person, running an indie company. I've had this conversation with a lot of people before about like, you know, there's I've always felt like there are two types. There are not I want to say two types of fans, but there are two fans that I run into a lot. There are the fans like you gentlemen have, expressed that you will consume wrestling no matter what. You will go to a show, you will find something on the internet, you will find something on TV or whatever. You will just consume wrestling. And then there are other people who are so caught up in this in their little worlds of wrestling that they don't open themselves to consuming lower levels of wrestling. So, for example, when you get people who like, and I know that I'm not the only person who's run through this. So I run in New York. My company runs in New York, and we do what we can with what we have. But it's funny because when you run into some of the New York City fans, the New Jersey fans, I mean, there's some companies out here that have a lot of means, and they can do a lot of bigger things with their companies. And for years, fans have gotten used to that. And so when they find another company that doesn't have the same means and access to certain stars and stuff, you get a lot less people who go to those shows. But it's funny because I'll travel out of New York and out of New Jersey. I'll go up to Massachusetts. I'll go out to Rhode Island. I'll go down to North Carolina where my father lives. I'll go down to Florida. People just love. I've seen shows, indie shows, with legitimately no one that you could write home about and somebody would know on them that have sold out buildings. And I'm just like, people just love and consume wrestling. And so I feel like, you have to have that respect for what other people like, but also understand, like, open yourself up to other worlds of wrestling. Like, there was a time where I was strictly a WWE, WCW person. And then I got turned on to Japan and I got turned on to indie wrestling. And it was like that world sparked something in me, which was incredible. And then I just grew from there to now where it's like I trend more towards indie wrestling and Japan and Ring of Honor than I do WWE. Even though I still watch it, though most times now I'm watching WWE to kind of just take notes.
Understandable.
But I think
Okay.
what was brought up by Jamil plays right into my big gripe. And it's
Okay.
there's not enough too many wrestlers, not enough space. And I'm speaking
Ah.
specifically about the WWE. Don't get me wrong. I love the fact that and I love the fact that some people that I've seen out here on the indie scene, some people that I know personally, are going to NXT or getting signed by the WWE for whatever it is that they're doing. But I think this is where you also get the problem of fans getting with the term buried and stuff like this. You only have so much time and so many spots, but they have so many wrestlers. Okay. And you lose sight of people. Like, again, we brought this up earlier before some of the other people joined.
Mhm.
On the Raw women's roster, who remembers Dana Brooke? Who remembers Alicia Fox? Who actually pays attention to a Mickey James wrestling match still, right? Like, these people are signed, and by no means do I want them to lose their meal ticket. Do I want them to lose their contract? And I get that some people would rather be signed to a WWE contract and do nothing than not be signed and do nothing. But a lot of these talent that don't get used regularly are really good. I mean, Dana Brooke,
Really good. Look what you just said. You just said two former champions,
right?
basically being backburned, and that's just how it is. People like Mr. Perfect never won a world title, and
But he was
uh,
focused on, like,
yeah,
Perfect was given something to do. I mean, look at
yeah.
teams like, listen, I was watching, I love watching old NXT too. Like, do we
Yeah.
remember when the Ascension were over as F?
Oh my God, I love
Right?
the
Like,
Ascension, man.
do we remember how good the Revival was in NXT?
Yeah.
Do we remember how how good the Lucha Dragons were in
Yep.
NXT? Okay, time out. Do we remember how Tyler Breeze was probably the one man who should have gotten an NXT title run and never did?
Yeah.
Right? So,
I've been saying he deserves an IC shot for a while now, man. It just the
Johnny
talent falls
Curtis
under the
Fandango is an awesome wrestler. So, there are guys and girls on these rosters, the Revival, Ascension. I feel like No Way Jose is going to fall that way too because, hey, we can't fail with 3 dancing gimmicks in a row. A lot of these guys, they don't get buried, but there's just not enough time for everybody. And it sucks. And that's why you see someone like Cody Rhodes killing it in New Japan and in Ring of Honor. Why? Because they limit their rosters. Ring of Honor has a small roster. New Japan has a small roster. It's not as huge as people may think. And they utilize everyone. They pay attention to everyone, which is why
Amen.
everyone gets screen time. No one is thought of as an afterthought, and everybody has a way to get to a championship. So when Bone Soldier comes out of nowhere to fight for an IWGP championship, no one's going to be surprised because people have paid attention to him. But when you see Mojo Rawley or Zack Ryder fighting for the Intercontinental Championship or the U.S. title or this, what do? Oh, they're not going to win. We already know the outcome of this match. This person is buried. Well, that was different. Back in the 80s, back in the early 90s, the mid-card was well developed.
Oh, you out there? You outside downloading
Match.
porn?
That's my biggest gripe.
That's well said.
Yeah. All right, so we're about an hour in. Want to make sure we get everybody's gripe. Corey, what is your gripe? Corey, you there?
I couldn't hear you. I thought the phone was breaking up.
No worries.
Me? Let's see.
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you. I mean, I know we all have, our complaints that we have to ourselves, depending on what program we're watching. Because right now, it's a great time for wrestling, honestly. Everything's just flourishing properly. Even Impact is starting to look great again. And, that thank God for that, too, because I've always liked TNA regardless. But me personally, I feel like right now we're in a point where wrestling is at at an all-time high for not only the popular brands and the indie promotions, where I feel like these companies now should all be intertwining. This is a time where I understand we all issue our complaints about how Vince runs his company, whatever the case may be. When that ship sails, that ship will sail, and we'll see what will happen. It's not going to happen no time soon, but this is a perfect time for all companies to really just be intertwining. It's enough. Like, for example, what pissed me off the other day, the whole WWE canceling out Ring of Honor coming to Madison Square Garden. It's like you do that and you take away from what you stand for. You stand for wrestling. I understand you're an entertainment company and you have wrestlers and you do have great wrestlers, but you take away for what you stand for, and that's competition. You got where you got being competitive. That right there is not competition. That's just to me, that's like a sign of weakness. That's like you're saying you're inferior because this smaller company more than likely is going to sell out Madison Square Garden, where you've been actually struggling for the past, I'll say, give and take a year. So now you take away from something that can be great, not only on a scale for you, but on a scale for other companies. competition is what made us sit there and watch WCW and WWE turning back and forth from channel to channel. So it's like that's my main problem. It's just, this is something that all companies and it looks like honestly every other company is all together besides the E. And I mean, hey, all power to the E, whatever the case may be. I'm not going to stop watching because of that. I'm still going to watch. But, it's just it should be a platform for them to say, you know what, let's step up to the competition and show these other companies what we can do against them. This is a perfect time for it, and it's just not going that way.
I don't know
Yeah.
if anybody heard this. Did anybody hear about the whole Sinclair Fox thing?
Sinclair, what happened?
Apparently, Sinclair Broadcasting owns 87 or 78. It's one of those two numbers. Fox stations that WWE programming will eventually be on once the SmackDown deal goes through. So now there's a whole thing about like, do they really want to make enemies with Sinclair Broadcasting?
Oh,
Wow.
shit.
Yeah.
Oh, let's not talk about the fact that maybe 5 or 6 of your top guys in the WWE come from Ring of Honor. Yeah, we don't want anybody to know about that.
Right.
Just saying.
Yeah,
Just saying.
your Kevin Owens, your current SmackDown champion, your former Intercontinental champion, and the list goes on and on. Oh, by the way, before this gets lost in tape, I just realized what my actual biggest gripe is.
What's that?
We have never heard Elias's theme music.
Oh shit!
I mean, we've heard it here and there
Yes, we have.
after he wins the match, but that's the only time we've ever
Can we
really heard
talk
it.
about why this man has a theme song on YouTube on the WWE's official music channel, and we have never heard it?
Wow.
That was
Like,
good.
if you played
Oh,
Elias's
yes.
theme song in front of if you played Elias's theme song in a party full of wrestling fans, there would be nobody would know who it was.
I'll be honest with you. I would until I say, wait, hold on, that sounds familiar.
But
Who
then you
wins
hear,
in it?
ladies and gentlemen,
Wait.
Elias.
That's not his theme music. I thought that was it.
He has never come out to his theme music. I was on
Never.
a random playlist on YouTube because when I go to the gym, and as sad as this sounds, I have a wrestling playlist when I go to the gym.
That's not sad.
Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong. Not at all.
And usually on my
Make another
last
one.
set when I'm really, really tired and I gotta hit the weights for the last time is when I play Captain Charisma's music. So
Nice.
yeah, the undeserved legend right there, the untold legend that is Christian. But I forgot my thing at home, so I'm on YouTube and I'm on just an autoplay, and a song comes on. I'm like, yo, whose theme is this? I stop my workout to look at my phone, and it is Elias's theme music, and I'm just like, I didn't even know this man had music.
Wow.
Like I know
Nice.
Ocho's theme song before I know Elias's theme song,
Just saying.
and that's sad.
Wow.
Okay. I bet you digress. Austin,
Yo,
we finally got you on. We finally got you on, brother. What is your gripe?
My gripe with wrestling now, and it kind of ties into what's been said already, but my gripe is the booking between NXT and the main rosters. The booking, it's
Terrible.
it's just terrible. Specifically, I'm going to use Sasha and Bailey as an example. We all know what they did in NXT. We all know the history they made. It was just beautiful in NXT. Then we come to Raw. First of all, I don't think it was a good idea for them to call Bailey up for that one appearance at that pay-per-view. And then, she goes back to NXT. Then they wait to bring her back. I thought that wasn't a good move. And I think like somebody, earlier we were talking about the fans. I think the fans get invested and start to say people get buried because their favorites aren't pushed. So it's like, okay, well, my favorite is Finn Balor, but he's not the champion or he's not, close, getting a good title run. Okay, so he's being buried. Or my favorite is, I don't know, just whoever it may be. But because they're not in the main matches.
Okay. Let me go ahead and stop you real quick because Jamil went on for like 15 minutes about the whole burying bit, and yeah, so yeah, we definitely covered that already.
Okay. I'll bring it back. But the booking, Sasha and Bailey's booking right now is the worst. Like I can't, I don't know where they're going with it. First of all, they've drawn it out way too long. You just can't tell where it's going. In the group, I put a synopsis of what I think they should do because Monday, the way I saw it was Bailey threw the first punch. So I'm like, okay, is she finna be the heel? Is Sasha finna be the face? If that's the case, then you need to change Bailey's character because, that whole hug life thing isn't working on the main roster like it did in NXT. At least I don't think. That's my opinion. And I think one of the things I was watching on a network and I heard about how NXT down there, they're given like months to kind of go through those stories. They're given time to let it breathe, let it spread out. For example, Gargano and Ciampa, they've been given a lot of time to make a beautiful story in NXT. But then I'm almost 100% positive when both of them get to the main roster, it's not going to be the same. Even if you have them go against each other on the main roster, it's just not going to be the same. Like you only have like weeks at a time. So like, okay, so 1 week we're gonna go this way, and the next week we're just gonna forget that even happened, and we're gonna change it up completely. I'm like, if you're gonna do angles, if you're gonna do stories and feuds, give them time to breathe, give the fans time to invest in them, give them time to grow, so that you can become invested emotionally with that feud, and then you have your payoff, a few months down the line. And because everything is so rushed on the main roster to me, that's just my biggest thing. I just feel like the main roster rushes everything. Like with Shinsuke. Shinsuke said they won the title at WrestleMania. We all know that. But he didn't because they felt we need a heel in this feud. And Shinsuke's had like 5,000 matches for the title and hadn't won it, and now he's gone from the title picture. So I'm like, is he ever going to get back to the title picture and actually win the thing? I don't see it happening.
You would think that them having more programming would actually allow you to build these feuds, but it's funny that when the WWE had less television, their feuds were better.
Right. Good point. That's a good point. That's a good one.
Oh, yeah. I don't know. Maybe instead of having the same match every single week, we could let it breathe by actually filling the time with other wrestlers on our enormous roster and have them wrestle in matches, allowing our actual feuds to go on for weeks and months and time like that. But no, we can't do that because of we want to have the same matches 7-8 times. We want to have a match on a pay-per-view and then have a rematch of the same exact match the next night on Raw. Like, I want to sit through another one of those matches.
Right. Yeah. It's terrible. I think about like back in the Attitude Era, like with the Ministry of Darkness, for example, the part where Undertaker was, he burned the teddy bear, he sacrificed Stephanie, all of that. We may not have seen Undertaker every week, but we saw the Ministry every week, and everything from the Acolytes to Viscera to Midian, they played a part in that story. So it allowed all of them to be part of that. And when we saw Undertaker again, then we got, the big moment because it's the Undertaker. But I think they just lost sight of that now. They don't allow everyone to.
Well, you know what part of that is? Part of that is that could be remedied by stables. We haven't had what stable just came up? Sanity just came up, right? I mean, rest in peace, Sanity, because they don't have Cross. But all right, they brought us Sanity. My thing is, why not rekindle that? You know, we won't pretend like stuff's not recycled. Stuff is recycled all the time. You
Yeah.
know, and my thing is, you have all these great caliber of people who know each other, work with each other well, probably in other companies, and you don't allow them to be together to create that chemistry and that magic, that that DX, corporate ministry, just stuff like that, Nation of Domination, Legion of Doom, just stuff like that alone, Demolition. We need that again. That nostalgia, we need that only because there's men out here that's suffering. Like, for example, I'll say Bobby Roode. He would be a perfect leader for a stable. Perfect leader for a stable. And who would you throw in there with him? Imagine the great talent if they decided to take an angle where they put Bobby Roode with Samoa Joe and put him with AJ Styles. Just to spite WWE. Just create some magic. And I just feel like
Hunter
that's
would
what
do that.
Hunter definitely would do that. Because you know why? Hunter knows what the hell he's doing.
Hunter would do that. Vince wouldn't.
Oh yeah.
Hunter would do. And listen, I mean, we all know NXT, and I've said this for years. NXT is an independent wrestling show with WWE's production budget. It's what my show would be if I had WWE's production budget. And the funny
Amen.
thing is, look at how NXT has evolved. And I'm not talking about like the shitty NXT, excuse my language. But so you have this issue where NXT used to go, if you look at the old takeovers, it used to be 6 or 7 matches with a bunch of them being really, really short and then 2 very, very long matches. And now it's gone to, we will have at most 5 matches a show. And they will all go very, very, very long. Because most of the times they're going to be a payoff to something. Or they're going to be something to something. And I think it helps that NXT is almost a taped product because, they do get that time to let it breathe. And I think it's a different breed of fan that's watching the main roster versus the NXT roster. I loved that they brought Ember and Andrade into the Rumble. I hated a couple years ago, they put Rusev in the Rumble and then they didn't debut him for like another 4 months. And I was
yeah, you're absolutely right.
I was like, that made absolutely no sense because it got me hype. Because I was like, yo, there's this dude. He be down at NXT with his brown skirt on, and he be breaking wooden boards. Like, this dude is awesome. For those of y'all that remember Rusev's original gimmick, Mr. Alexander Rusev. But there is that difference between the main roster and the NXT. They don't let the storylines breathe. Shane Douglas brought this up, and it involves he who must not be named, the Voldemort of professional wrestling right now. When he won the championship and left, right?
Mm-hmm.
Shane Douglas said this best. He said, if I had been Vince, I would have let that go 6 months. I would have had him go to every indie show. I would have had him do an indie show at a bingo hall 5 blocks away from where WWE was doing a show. And I would have had him defend the championship at indie promotions. And I would have had you send people like mercenaries. Send the smallest guy on the roster. Send a Zack Ryder to go infiltrate that indie show just so they could beat up this guy and take your championship back, because the only thing that matters is the championship. And you build that out for 6 months like, oh my God, this man could legitimately go somewhere and lose the championship to some random Joe Schmo. And then what happens then? Does this person have a WWE contract? Like, what goes on there?
Right.
Instead, what happened? We got a tournament that lasted 2 weeks, and then 3 weeks later, this guy came back.
Right.
And it was just like,
and robbed the Mysterio of a title reign.
right. You know, we don't have that anymore. I mean, we don't have that build towards the 1 year chase. I mean, I remember Ric Flair's build to when he got that title from Harley Race, the Flair for the gold.
Yep.
Right? Where it took a whole. How many people, if you guys are Chikara fans, remember when Chris Hero lost for a year straight in Chikara? Right?
Oh,
there was a storyline which is why it's one of my favorite submission moves ever, where Mike Quackenbush and Chris Hero were in a feud, and Chris Hero and Mike Quackenbush knew each other like brothers. They knew every hold that each other knew, and Quackenbush had taught Hero like every reversal to every submission that he knew, and so Chris Hero would break out of everything until Quackenbush popped in the Chikara special, which Hero did not know the reversal to, so Hero tapped out. And Quackenbush was like, I'm going to teach every babyface in Chikara the reversal and the Chikara special so that they know. And for a year straight in Chikara, Chris Hero lost to the Chikara special any babyface he fought. Until
tell that damn story.
Right, until one day Chris Hero reversed the Chikara special, and they were like, well, how did he learn the reversal? And the story was that in a different feud somewhere else in Chikara, a babyface had gotten hypnotized and thought that he was a heel, and he had actually ended up teaching it to the heels, and that's how Hero learned the reversal to the submission.
Nice.
wow.
But that storytelling that we don't see in the WWE, because it's always about the what have you done for me lately? What can you do for me now? I mean, they were spoon-fed a Finn Balor story when Balor went out with that injury, like coming back and going for that Universal Championship. That should have been a story that you could have tied his injury into. You know, there's so many things that these stories could do, but again, it's almost as if the more TV they have, the less effective they've become at telling stories than when they had one television show and all these live events that you couldn't find online. I mean, listen, Hulk Hogan and Ric Flair had how many matches at live events that we never got to see?
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
Story.
Exactly.
Yeah, what about that?
With that said, I think that'd be a good point for us to stop until next time, because I just had an idea for what we're going to talk about next time. Does WWE have too much TV? We will have that discussion next time on the THWF Network, okay? So I want to thank my panel for coming in. Thank Austin, thank Corey, thank Jamil, thanks Pete, thanks Terry. I appreciate you guys for coming in on short notice. Until next time, everybody, this is your boy Sid. We will see you on the THWF Network. Peace out, y'all.
Peace.